I rise to support the Credit Card Act of 2009. I want to commend the chairman of the Banking Committee for his outstanding efforts to craft this legislation. I also appreciate the work done by Senator Shelby in developing the bill that should be able to garner broad bipartisan support and become law. Too many in our country are burdened by significant credit card debt. Not enough has been done to protect consumers and ensure they are able to properly manage their credit burdens. We must do more to educate, protect, and empower consumers. This comprehensive legislation has numerous provisions that benefit consumers. However, my remarks will focus on the portion of the legislation which is based on my bill, the Credit Card Minimum Payment Warning Act. I originally introduced the act in the 108th Congress. I have greatly appreciated the efforts of Senators Durbin, Schumer, and Leahy, who helped develop and support that legislation. I also want to acknowledge Senator Feinstein for her contributions on this issue. We attempted to attach our legislation as an amendment to improve the flawed minimum payment warning in the Bankruptcy Abuse Prevention Act. On March 2, 2005, an editorial in the Washington Post criticized the bankruptcy legislation then being considered. The editorial stated, and I quote, "At the very least, as Senator Daniel Akaka has proposed, credit card issuers who now send out 5 billion solicitations a year ought to be required to disclose to borrowers the true cost of making only the minimum payments," unquote. Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the text of the entire editorial be placed in the record following my remarks.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. President. Unfortunately, our amendment at that time was defeated. Mr. President, although there have been some modifications and additions, the Credit Card Act contains the primary provisions of my legislation. The legislation requires that consumers be told how long it will take to repay their entire balance if they make only minimum payments. The total costs of making only the minimum payments would have to be disclosed. These provisions will make individuals much more aware of the true cost of credit card debt. Consumers would have to be provided with the amount they need to pay to eliminate the outstanding balance within 36 months, which is a typical length of a debt management plan. The personalized payment disclosures are important, but consumers must be given opportunities to find reputable credit counseling services. Section 201 also includes our requirement for creditors to establish and maintain a toll-free number so that consumers can access trustworthy credit counselors. The toll-free number will have to appear on credit card billing statements, along with minimum payment warning information. More working families are trying to survive financially and meet their financial obligations. Consumers often seek out help from credit counselors to better manage their debt burdens. It is extremely troubling that unscrupulous credit counselors exploit individuals who are trying to locate the assistance that they need. As financial pressures increase for working families, credit counseling becomes even more important. The CARD Act will assist working families with finding credit counselors, and that will help rather than exploit them. Yesterday, I filed an amendment to the CARD Act to simplify the administration of the credit card counseling referral provision. The amendment would require the Federal Reserve Board to issue the guidelines for development and maintenance by creditors of a toll-free number, which would provide information about credit counseling and debt management services. Referrals for credit counseling services via the toll-free number could only go to the nonprofit counseling agencies approved by United States bankruptcy trustees. This modification will utilize an existing approval process and list of reputable credit counselors instead of creating a new approval process for the purposes of Section 201. I thank the chairman and ranking member for their willingness to accept this amendment. Madam President, after many years, it appears that we may finally be enacting a bill that will educate, protect, and empower credit card consumers. Once again, I thank Chairman Dodd for all of his outstanding efforts to help our working families. The administration also deserves credit for their efforts to help move this legislation closer to enactment. And I look forward, Madam President, to continuing to work with my colleagues and the administration on this and other essential consumer protection legislation.